Path of Exile 3.16 Scourge League is right around the corner. At the time of this recording, it is less than a week until the official launch. So the question that's burning on pretty much everyone's mind is, what build am I gonna play for League Start? Now, most people are theory crafting, figuring out, doing all the research, trying to figure out what their build's gonna be, and I am no different. I have a few builds that I have decided are most likely going to be the ones that I release build guides for the upcoming patch. So I just wanted to make a video talking about what my thoughts are currently before we get the skill trees, on what builds that I am planning on releasing, and my thoughts about the changes that the new skill tree is going to be giving them. I will also be making a video talking about how you personally can choose a league starter that may not be mine or may be one of mine, just any generic league starter. I'll be making a video about that soon as well, so look forward to that. But in the meantime, let's talk about the builds that I am going to most likely be pushing for build guides for 3.16. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, if you're new or part of the large percentage of people who are still not subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure that you do that so that these videos are sure right up in your feed, and make sure to like the video if you're enjoying all the content. Now, the first build that I am going to be suggesting is still going to be the Toxic Rain Raider. Now, I do think that there are a few other ascendancies that you could play for this build, but for the vast majority of things about this, I really don't think the build is going to change too drastically. From what we've seen of the new Raider node for Quartz Infusion, it's not going to give dodge, it's going to give spell suppression, 40%, which is quite a bit. On top of that, the Avatar of the Chase node is getting changed a little bit. It should even out with the new changes to evasion, and nothing else for the most part besides the nearby enemies have less accuracy rating is really changing. I think that the Raider is still going to be perfectly fine. However, there is actually a place for a Deadeye Toxic Rain build. Now, I know a lot of people have been talking about this one specifically for single target. The main reason for that is going to be Occupying Forest. When I make my build guide, I will provide additional trees talking about some of the alternate options that you can do. They won't be full ones meant for these builds, but I'll do my best. If you're interested in seeing me doing some of this build theory crafting, make sure to join me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/bigducks, which you should go follow, by the way. But the idea behind the Deadeye one is that it's going to be able to drop Mirage Archers, which are going to be doing constant single target damage. On top of that, the Deadeye just has quite a few damaging nodes. Beyond that, another build that is gaining traction was a Gauntlet build that is Toxic Rain Champion. There's a lot of people talking about this one. I personally feel that for soft core, this is probably one of the lesser options. It is very tanky. It can get quite a few defensive layers, but the damage realistically just isn't there. The speed just isn't there. If you're wanting to play soft core, I highly suggest that if you're looking for early farming and speed, you go Raider. If you're looking for more single target damage potentially, then go Deadeye. If you're looking for something that is just massively tanky, maybe you're playing hardcore, don't feel as proficient with maybe some of the other versions, then this one might work for you. Like I said, I'll try to put in trees for those as well. But almost nothing else is changing. Whenever we do get the new trees and the new masteries are available for each of these, I will be updating this POB, but this POB, for the most part, only needs slight changing. I will be going through and doing a pass on it, so don't worry too much about that. I'll be updating pretty much everything in here to be as up-to-date as we can get, so look forward to most likely Toxic Rain Raider. Now, the next build that is on my list is actually going to be the Steel Champion, the Lancing, Splitting, Shattering Steel Champion. But it's going to be a slightly different version from what you might have known historically. So we were on stream and I just kind of like spitballed the idea of, well, what if we just make a block version, right? What if we just do a dual wield block version? Now, the previous version of it was, it took the dodge nodes over here, but as we know, these dodge nodes are kind of going away. And I was thinking to myself, well, there's a lot of dual wield block nodes. And with the new node that we're going to be able to take, the Versatile Combatant node that converts, block into spell block, we're able to get roughly 75% block relatively easily. We can even get a little bit more spell block than this, so we should be able to do 50 block, 50 spell block quite easily. And on top of that, most of the dual wield block nodes actually have a decent amount of offensive capabilities with them as well. They do have like gain frenzy and endurance charges. There is like this node over here, which gives us a chance to gain frenzy charges. We have the nodes here, Aspect of the Panther, as well as weapon artistry. We have Gemini, which gives us some good stats. There is actually quite a bit of dual wield block available on the tree. And oddly enough, there's a little node up here called Mysticism that We might actually anoint. I'm not 100% certain about this, but I thought it was pretty funny because this gives us block, spell block, as well as chance to gain power charges, which is relatively rare. It's kind of an idea. I don't really know that we'll actually go with that anoint, but this block tree is actually looking pretty good. We will have access to some spell suppression. We will have access to potentially iron reflexes if we want to go for it. I think it's moving up here somewhere. Iron reflexes will allow us to convert any evasion that we do get into armor. And then on top of that, we should also be able to get the new node up here. I don't remember which one it is, what's the name of it, but it's the one that converts your base dexterity into the spell suppression. And then also we should have access to Leath Shade, which is up in this area right here, which is going to take the one major downside that this build always had, and that was damage over time, because this is a Petrified Blood build, and be able to just take significantly less damage from essentially our one downside. So this build is looking super solid. If you're interested in this build, it's not something that I have really done recently, but Don the Crown did kind of, keep this build going for quite some time. He's not really playing, but maybe he'll come back with this build potentially being good. But this is the block version that I personally am planning. Look forward to a full build guide on this one sometime soon. And then the last build that I'm going to be looking at, we were messing around with this one on stream a few days ago because we got confirmed that Brittle is not being nerfed, and we also got confirmed the Seismic Trap is not being nerfed, and Exsanguinate isn't being nerfed. To be honest, Trappers look pretty damn solid right now, if I'm gonna be honest with you, like very, very, very solid. So my current goal here is that we are going to be going a standard Fizz Trapper start into a cold conversion with Gale Sight, meaning we're going to be stacking Brittle, and then you'll convert into Cold Iron points after you get a little bit more money, because Cold Iron points are going to be expensive, almost guaranteed. And then later on, when you gain access to Leadership's Price, the amulet from Heist, then you can do a Brittle stacking, a Fizz stacking normal Trapper, and do ridiculous amounts of damage. Initially, I completely avoided the Brittle stacking version of this just because I thought that Brittle was going to get capped or nerfed in some way, and it got literally untouched. Some things to note is that the Saboteur actually is getting a slight buff. We will have some level of evasion, so blind will still be useful for us, and the 10% reduced damage taken from blinded enemies is being changed to 15% reduced damage taken. That's a huge amount of DR. That's like almost as strong as Fortify at this point. So the Saboteur definitely has some good defensive layers built into it. My idea is that early on in the like cold conversion version, as you might call it, we'll simply use a shield with some spell suppression on it, take a couple of these like easy to access block nodes, maybe get like 30-30 block or maybe even 40-40 block. By using the new Tempest Shield, it should be giving us a ton of spell block. Depending on how much reservation efficiency the Charisma node gives us going forward, we might be able to fit an entire extra aura in, which would be pretty solid. And then the idea is that we would be moving over to this tree, which is going to be a little bit different. The idea that I had here is that there were a bunch of people who are already using Devouring Diadem for this build, so I thought, well, if we're gonna go Devouring Diadem, you might as well go the full package, right? So my idea was that if you remember the Essence Drain Contagion Trickster from many leagues ago at this point, it used the whole like Wicked Ward, Mind Over Matter, Eldritch Battery combo that is provided by Devouring Diadem. And then there's this line on Devouring Diadem that says 10% chance for Energy Shield recharge to start when you use a skill. Wicked Ward is being changed so that we can still have Energy Shield Leech and Energy Shield Regeneration. So with Wicked Ward here, that means that our Energy Shield pool, whatever we get it up to, currently, even with just basic nodes and no real changing of gear, I've got about 1,000 Energy Shield, so that puts us at like 5,200 effective health pool essentially. That energy shield will be constantly recharging because we throw abilities like multiple times per second, right? So there's almost no case where this energy shield recharge will not be going. So if we get a little bit more energy shield on our gear, Tinker Skin is going to be giving us life and energy shield when it's triggered by an enemy, which should fill up both our life meter and our energy shield meter. And then on top of that, we will have the life recovery from Saboteur, which comes from Pyromaniac. So we'll be regenerating 10% of our life. We will be recovering 150 of our life and energy shield every time that a trap is triggered, and then on top of that we'll be having the energy shield recovery just going constantly because of Wicked Ward, even if we're taking damage. So I think that this is going to be pretty solid. On top of all of that, this isn't even counting Ghost Shrouds. Ghost Shrouds are also going to be recovering our energy shield constantly, which should be really nice. We've got the DR from the Born in the Shadows node. We'll probably have some level of spell suppression, some level of evasion that'll help us, dodge a couple of hits, and potentially, depending on how much spell suppression we can actually get access to. We might even be able to go the new acrobatics node, which will give us spell dodge back. I feel that this is going to be pretty powerful. I know that I saw Tarky talking about potentially doing some kind of like armor version of it, like some Iron Reflex hybrid kind of thing as well, but I think this is probably the way that I'm personally going to go with it, and I'm pretty excited about this. I think that this is probably going to be my league starter, because we've been doing some testing, and the damage is absolutely ridiculous with no gear. When you get the Gale Sight helmet going, and I can jump back to this other POV that I've got going here, we were able in-game to get like 10 effective brittle, and if you're looking at the crit chance over here is 95%. This is at level 85. This is with this gear. I mean, it's pretty much nothing. I just have a random diamond flask going, right? We've got Hrim Sorrows, we've got Gale Sight. I am personally on my build moving down here to grab Winter Spirit. However, what I'm expecting is that the Cold Mastery for this up here should have 40% of physical damage converted to cold, because all of the other ones that we've seen has had it so far. And the idea behind taking these nodes is that it gives us increased effect of cold ailments. So what I'm thinking is that with 40% increased effect of cold ailments and some cold damage, of course, here as well, we should be able to get brittle going up to like 12, 13, maybe even maxed at 15% very, very early on. It should be a ton of damage. We should be able to get like capped crit chance like super, super early in the game. It should be pretty good. We're gonna have to see how the tree lays out and what all we're able to do with that. So those are my current thoughts on my league starters. That's the ideas that I've got kind of going on in my brain. We'll see what the masteries hold. They could change things slightly, but I think we've got most of the information that we need on what our league starters are going to be. Unless something catastrophic happens that destroys one of these builds, be making build guides for each one of these in the upcoming days. And according to Bex, we might be getting the skill tree potentially today if you're watching this video the day that it came out. Who knows? It might be in a couple days though. Historically, they've always released on the Wednesday before the league started. Maybe we can get them a little earlier this time. So remember, boys, if you're enjoying all the content, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content similar to this, and stay safe out there in raid class. And I'll see you guys in the next video.